Could this be your last chance to buy NIO shares before they absolutely skyrocket? I think you're going to like what I've got for you, so you want to stick around. Welcome to Stockflix if you are new. This is the place where you get the best in-class stock picks. I'm a former investment banker turned educator, and I love talking about stocks and shares. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy. Soak up the knowledge. All I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button and become part of the Stockflix family. We are growing very nicely. So without further ado, today we're going to be talking about NIO. Now, if you don't know, tomorrow on the 17th, NIO is coming out with their Q3 earnings. This is a big day for us NIO investors, because what's going to happen to the NIO share price? Is it going to skyrocket? Is this going to be the last chance that we can buy in, get some NIO shares before they appreciate massively? So it's very interesting, and it's going to be a very exciting day tomorrow. What lies in store for NIO? And I'm going to be answering all of that in this video, so stick around. But first off, let's jump in. Let's look at how Xpeng reacted to their Q3 reports earlier last week. So I pulled up the Xpeng share price graph. As you can see, Xpeng actually came out with their results on the 11th of November for their Q3. And you can see a huge, very spicy appreciation in their share price. You know, we are looking, it was about 30% on the day, 33%, something like that. But intraday, I was watching it hit highs of about 40%. It was astronomical. Leave a comment down below, say spicy Xpeng. It was crazy, right? Us Xpeng, we were dancing around, we were rejoicing. We loved that 33% appreciation. Fantastic. They've had a little bit of a pullback since then, but that's normal. Once you have a huge jump in the share price like that, you'll have a lot of people jumping out at the top of the cliff and getting some of their results, their gains on that huge uplift that we had in Xpeng share price. Now, let's jump into the actual results of Xpeng and see what actually caused that, because it's going to be interesting to see if there's any comparison we can make between their results and NIO's results to see if NIO can have a massive uplift in their share price like Xpeng. How amazing would that be for us NIO shareholders to see a huge 33% on our return in one day? Fantastic. Let's look at the Xpeng results. Look, to summarize the Xpeng results, they had a very good quarter, and it's pretty much summarized by two things. A massive increase in their top line, so their revenues were increasing about 250% versus the last quarter. So this is an explosion of growth here. They had a lot of sales in that Q3, a lot of sales. And the second part of their results was their positive gross margin, 4.6% for the third quarter, compared with a negative 2.7% in the quarter before. So these guys, they're increasing their top line growth, but they're also managing their costs better. So they're becoming a bit of a machine. They're becoming a well-oiled engine, and that is what caused that explosion of 33% plus of their share price on the 11th of November when they came out with their results. So I guess what we really want to know as NIO shareholders is, can NIO exhibit these kind of results, but also can they exhibit a massive explosion in the share price off the back of good results? Now, to answer that, let's first look at NIO's Q2 results and see how the market reacted. So NIO's Q2 earnings came out on the 11th of August, as we know. And first off, I don't see any big jumps either side of that. So it's pretty peculiar to start off with. So on the 10th of August, we see it was about $14.20. So that's actually a drop in the day, $14.20 to $12.99, $13 off the back of their earnings. So even the day after, NIO's pretty flat. NIO's pretty flat. So maybe this is saying that NIO's Q2 earnings weren't great. Maybe they missed some things. Maybe they missed some targets. It's interesting. But there is a big jump in July, right? So if we then go to the Q2 earnings and see actually what happened in NIO's Q2 earnings, just to understand a bit more about that share price movement. So we can see first off the back, deliveries, an explosion in deliveries. 10,000 deliveries versus 3,800 deliveries in Q1. A massive uplift. Now, I think obviously the Q1 is an anomaly because you can see the quarter before was 8,000 220. So it almost seems like that Q1 2020 should have been around the 9,000 mark to plug that gap to make a nice steady increase. But NIO were affected by coronavirus and other issues in Q1. So that's what caused the drop in the deliveries there. So we see a nice jump to 10,000 deliveries. If we now scroll down and see the financials, dig a little bit further and see what's actually going on here, we can see revenue numbers pretty nice. But what really stands out to me for the Q2 earnings is, yes, they got on track with their deliveries, but they're managing their costs better. Their margins are improving. So you can see positive vehicle margin, positive gross margin. And these are very, very good signs because he's coming from a negative margin environment, and even more negative in more historically. So as we come to the present day, you can see we're going from negative 33, negative 12 to positive 8.4. So 2020 Q2 was definitely the time when NIO was getting back on track with its sales, but it was managing its costs. It was becoming a better machine. It was becoming more profitable. So these were fantastic results for NIO. So it's surprising that we didn't see a pop off in its share price. If we go back to its share price graph, there was a jump, a massive jump in July, beginning of July, from about 790 right up to 15. That's almost 100% gain in their share price. So what would have happened here is that delivery numbers would have already been known. Investors would have already known that NIO is getting back on track, making sales and becoming a force to be reckoned with. So that was an early pop-off in their share price ahead of the official Q2 results in August. So I see an interesting comparison between Xpeng's Q3 results and NIO's Q2 results. And I've always said that NIO is about a quarter ahead of Xpeng. And it's like Xpeng is almost exhibiting the same kind of movement that NIO has done, but 3 months ago. If you look at their massive share price appreciation, NIO had a massive share price appreciation about 3 months ago. So why I think is a bit of an interesting comparison is because that Q3 for Xpeng was the first time that they became profitable on a gross margin level. NIO's Q2 was the first time they became profitable on a gross margin. The sales for Xpeng exploded in Q3. The sales for NIO exploded in Q2 and they got back on track. So where exactly does this leave us for NIO's Q3 earnings, and how is the share price going to move off the back of it? So we already know a lot about the performance of NIO in Q3. We know that their deliveries were about 12,000. And as you can see from this chart, monthly deliveries for July, 3,500, just shy of 4,000, just shy of 5,000 for August and September. Now we know that NIO had its standout 5,000 deliveries in the month in October, but remember Q3, we're just accounting for July, August and September. So those results won't be reflected in the Q3, they will be reflected in the Q4. So we know that NIO has had a very, very good third quarter. And we know that this is an uplift on their 10,000 deliveries that they made in Q2. So on a revenue basis, I think NIO is on track to hit probably around a 5 to 8% increase in their revenue numbers. But what I think we should pay a lot of attention to is their profitability on a gross margin level and on an operating cost level. Jumping back to NIO's Q2, the real question is, can they continue that profitability momentum that they achieved in Q2? Remember, they achieved 8.4% on a gross margin basis, which is better, which is double what Xpeng produced. So they're doing very, very well. But can Q3 results reflect an even greater gross margin? Can we see 10%? Can we see 11% gross margin for NIO's Q3? Because I think this is what will make its Q3 earnings stand out. So can NIO continue that profitability momentum? Can we see gross margin in the 10%, the 11%, to continue that trajectory from the 8.4% achieved in Q2? But what we must remember is NIO actually has a lot of expansion plans that are costly. It has its European expansion mission, where it's going to have to get a team deployed in Europe. It's going to have to set up a lot of infrastructure there. It's going to have to get consultants involved, sales representatives involved. It's going to be a very costly endeavor. So whether they factored this in Q3 or that's coming in Q4, we will find out. So you also have to remember that NIO is coming out with its second generation battery swapping technology. This is an upgrade on their current battery swapping stations, and they're looking to deploy about 300 of those next year. That's going to cost money. The R&D into that, the setup of the manufacturing of that is going to cost money. They're also working hard on their self-driving capabilities. They're coming out with their 150 kilowatt hour battery, which is an upgrade on the 100 kilowatt hour battery currently out now. There's also going to be new R&D into new cars, and you have to remember that NIO's capacity right now is about 5,000, as they're working with Jack Motors, the third party that produces their cars. They have indicated that they're able to expand that facility, but this is going to be costly. They're going to have to make extensions on the current factory. So there's quite a long list of costs which could come into NIO's Q3 results tomorrow, or they can come into Q4, but they're going to have to come in at some point in time. So even if we did see a nice uplift in gross margins and profitability for the Q3 results which will come out tomorrow, it's highly likely that in Q4 or Q1 2021, we'll see a compression in NIO's margins based off the fact that this company has big plans, and these plans are costly. They're gonna cost money, and they're gonna affect that margin at some point in time. So it's something as investors to keep an eye out on. In terms of my prediction, I'd be very happy to see NIO be flat on its current margins. 8-9% gross margin, I'd be completely fine with that. It shows that the company is maintaining its costs as it's growing, as becoming larger. In terms of what I think is going to happen to the share price, I think a lot of that hype and anticipation for NIO's Q3 earnings are already factored in. If we jump back into the share price of NIO, we can see NIO had a very nice jump of about 7-8% on the day on the 11th that Xpeng actually came out with their Q3 results. So there was a lot of anticipation for good Q3 earnings for NIO. So investors already kind of baked that in. So I think it wouldn't come as a surprise for investors to see NIO produce very, very good Q3 numbers. So I think a general 1-2% uplift in the share price is probably what we're gonna see, but only time will tell, and I'm very, very excited. But I remain very bullish on NIO. I think NIO has amazing future prospects, and tomorrow is going to be a very, very big day for NIO, because I'm going to look into the numbers, analyze them, pick out any flaws that I see, pick out any good points, make another video to present to you guys on what this means for the future of NIO and its share price, and hopefully we can make some good money off the back of that. Look, thank you very much for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure to have you on the channel. This is Stockflix. We are growing. Hit that red subscribe button. Become part of the family. Write down any comments you have in the comment section. I'm answering every single comment that you guys post in the comment section. And all I have to do now is just wish you a very, very good day. Let's make that money.